Good Erev Shabbos. I hope you and your family are well. What do we think about our identity? Are we Jewish? Are we British? Are we Jews who live in Britain? Are we British people who have a Jewish background? Or are we just human beings? The question of identity comes up in this week's Sedra, the beginning of the book of Shemot, the book of Exodus, where we are introduced to Moses, our teacher. And we know that Moses grows up in Pharaoh's palace, and he has a situation the Torah describes at the age of about 20. He comes out and he sees an Egyptian who is beating an Israelite. And Moses described he looks this way and he looks that way, and he sees there's no person, and he takes action and he kills the Egyptian who is beating the Israelite, and he buries him in the sand. Now, one of our rabbis of recent years, Rabbi Isaac Bernstein, who was the rabbi in Kindlos a number of years ago, he has an amazing interpretation of this scenario, which gets to the core of identity. Moses was unsure what he was. Was he an Egyptian or was he an Israelite? Where did his allegiance? So at this moment, this was a pivotal moment. He looked this way and he looked that way. And he saw that there was no person there. In other words, whilst he was still struggling, am I Jewish? Am I an Egyptian? He wasn't complete. But once he made a decision and he had identified himself with his people, so therefore he took action. He killed the Egyptian. In other words, he killed the Egyptian within him and he buried him in the sand. He had a clarity exactly who he was and where his future lay. Now, at this time of year, we often are confronted with a similar sort of identity crisis. What are we? Are we Jewish? Are we British? Are we part of the wider culture celebrating Christmas and the festive season? Or do we root ourselves in our Jewish identity, in our festivals and our traditions? Now, Judaism tells us about Derech Eretz. So if we are finding ourselves outside our homeland of Israel, then we have to certainly contribute and be part of the society, but we keep our identity. And as our former chief rabbi, Rabbi Sachs, teaches us, non-Jews respect Jews who respect Judaism. So let's take a think about our identity as we come into this festive season, and let's root ourselves with our people, but being proud and contributing citizens to the wider society, but knowing and being passionate about our Jewish identity. Wishing you all a Shabbat Shalom.